Hey, 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 welcome everyone to another episode of Five Lug Racing. Myself, Don, with me, as always, my co host, Ryan. We are bringing everything Daytona 500 preview to you guys to get you caught up on the week, all the events, everything that's coming at you. We've also got a special return guest hanging out with us today. Ryan, tell me a little bit about it, bud.
Oh man, it's great to be here, and it's great to exit all you football fans out there, wrapping up the Super Bowl. Congratulations to my Philadelphia Eagles! I have to get it in there. Go Birds! And now we move on to the Super Bowl of racing, the Daytona 500. Joining us is a very special return guest and friend to the Five Lug Racing show. We'll get right to it. Dakota Ratcliff from 2311 Racing. Dakota, how are you?
I am good, guys. How are y'all?
Doing great, man. Like I said, Cloud Nine, my Birds just got it done. I know you're a Bama guy, so some of your players on that team.
Oh
It's
yeah,
good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah.
But
I
man,
think we were just all happy that the Chiefs lost.
That's
yeah,
probably a fair statement.
fair, fair, fair. Congratulations to you. Get you catching everybody up. If you haven't checked it out, I'll mention it now. Dakota has been a guest of our show before, back when we were under our former moniker of Side Draft Media, and was a member of the Haas Factory team. Well, the now Haas Factory team. It was Stuart Haas Racing then, and you did double duty in both the Xfinity and the Cup side. Now you're at 2311 Racing. So congratulations on the move, Dakota. How you
Thanks.
feeling going into the season with the new team?
I feel good. I feel good. It's awesome to be. It's always nice to have a nice fresh start somewhere new. Especially kind of with what we went through last year. Like you said, I did do double duty last year, and this year not doing that and just doing the Cup side of things is a little bit different. I know it's gonna be weird, like in Daytona, whenever it's Saturday and Xfinity's going around the track, I'm gonna be like, I feel like I should be there, you know.
Do you
but
get to
uh,
Yeah.
but no,
enjoy?
it's exciting. It's
Do you get
exciting.
to sit back and enjoy when Xfinity is racing now, or are you guys still going to be kind of doing your prep work for Sunday?
No, yeah, I'll be able to hang out and enjoy it. My dad is back to crew chiefing. Jason
Awesome.
Ratcliffe for Gibbs
Right.
this year. They reeled him back in out of retirement with Taylor Gray, so it'll be fun to watch him, especially now that I'm back with Toyota. It'll be fun to pull for him and Taylor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. And we talked about all those changes that happened in our Xfinity preview, and that was one of the things is your father going back, championship crew chief on top of the pit box for Taylor. So we're excited for him this year and the opportunities of that 5-4 team. I think they're going to find themselves in victory lane. That JGR camp is really strong in the Xfinity series,
Oh,
so we're looking forward to it. But speaking of the changes. Not only you moving, we'll certainly circle back to the 2311 and your venture over to there, but there are a lot of changes in the Cup Series this year as well. 14 full-time changes. So I just want to run through that for, everybody tuning in. Because of some of those off-season changes, like we talked about with Stuart Haas Racing being no more, those drivers had to find seats and they did, and there were charters to be moved as well. So right off the jump, we go to the four team, which now belongs to Front Row Motorsports and Noah Gragson, a guy you're familiar with, going from Stuart Haas Racing over to Front Row Motorsports, staying in a Ford. We move along to the seven team. At the end of the year, we saw one of like the first trades ever in the NASCAR Cup Series, where Justin Haley is going to be piloting that ride again full time in 2025. He was traded towards the end of the year from Rick Ware Racing, as we all remember. And I asterisk this one because there's a piece moving. Another piece from the Stuart Haas fallout, so to speak, with Rodney Childers over there. And that is an incredible get for Spire Motorsports and Rodney going over there. Maybe you could speak on Rodney, Dakota, and interactions you've had with him. I know he was with that 14 for so long. Of course, he won a championship with Kevin Harvick, and just an incredible mind, and racing mind to go over to Spire Motorsports.
Yep. Yeah, he was. I did a couple races for him whenever I was over there, and yeah, I mean, he's one of the greatest, right? Like, I see a lot of, growing up with a crew chief in the house that was super successful, and I'm a little biased, but most people would say he's one of the greatest to do it. You see a lot of similarities, right? Like, there's a lot of things that you see that you're like, all right, Pops has got that, Rodney's got that, you know, that's got to be one of those things that, like, they kind of have things they do that are the same, and I think that's what makes them great, right? Like, they figured some things out, and so they're, Spire is going to be getting a lot of those little details that those guys have executed for so many years that make them great, right? And one of the things is the people that they have with them, right? And I know Rodney brought a lot of guys from that 4 team over there with him to work on that deal with him. And that's one thing that I know my dad always talked about was like, man, when you find the right guys, like, you got to hold on to them because they're what make you great is the people that you surround yourself with. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't see is that Rodney took quite a few guys with him that are going to help him be successful over there.
That's incredible insight, and yeah, that's going to be great to see how that plays out. I just think it's nothing but great for Justin Haley to have
Oh,
him,
yeah.
on,
Oh,
on top
yeah.
of the pit
That's
box.
huge, huge.
Yeah, I agree. Another move going into this year, um, a team that it now will be donning number 10. They were the 31 last year for College Racing is Ty Dillon. He'll be full time this year. And speaking of College Racing and the 16, we have the return of the Dinger, AJ Allmendinger going full time this year for College Racing, no longer in the Xfinity series. I know that's a guy in the championship for last year in Xfinity. You're up against and always just a threat. He's a road course ringer. With some of these road course guys coming in, I think that makes for interesting races with the Cup Series having so many road courses. Certainly a guy who could get into victory lane there and possibly put himself in the playoffs. Um, uh, uh, the next name I'm going to mention is one I have an asterisk next to as well, and I'm kind of going by car number here, so we're up to 19, and that's a guy you're also familiar with, should be near and dear. Going to Joe Gibbs Racing this year is Chase Briscoe. I speak of Chase, and I know you could speak on him more than I can, but this is a young driver that is, I call him a Cup star already, and I know he only has a couple career wins in the NASCAR Cup Series, but the guy's a proven winner, and he has the mindset of a champion, and I just going to Joe Gibbs I think is nothing but a great opportunity for Chase Briscoe, and I personally am expecting to see big things out of that team this year. And I think if you're a fan on the outside looking in, you also have to have that mindset of, ooh, this is a big name going to a big place here. Certainly, I think the spotlight's on him. And speaking of spotlight on him, let's rewind the tape to the summer. Back against the wall. Your team had to have it. This guy said, I'm going to go out and win this race this weekend. And we're talking about the Southern 500. And you found yourself in victory lane. I even had that hunch. I texted you and said, Dakota, I think this is going to happen for you guys this weekend. I feel it in my bones.
Yeah.
And he even, he Babe Ruth called his shot. The guys parked it.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us a little bit about that type of tenacity behind the steering wheel and that mindset and what Joe Gibbs Racing is getting in a driver with Chase Briscoe?
Yeah, I mean, Chase is Chase has got so much natural talent. That family's got a lot of natural talent behind the wheel. But he's just smart, right? Like, and sometimes I feel like guys are almost too smart for their own good a little bit. They know they're good, right? And they know they've kind of got what it takes. And I felt like at Haas there was such a lack of structure, which is why it's no longer. But I think that's going to be the biggest gain is him going somewhere with structure. And I don't think anyone has seen the ceiling of Chase Briscoe yet. I think we've only seen the floor, and I think that the Southern 500 was us scraping the surface of the true talent that Chase has. And I told a lot of people, I'm like, man, if this place would have had more checks and balances, uh, I think Chase would have done a lot better. Just because there were a lot of other things going on other than that he had to think about other than just driving a race car.
Right.
And I think also Joe Gibbs Racing is so structured and has a lot of answers to everything because they've been around for so long and have won so much. They have a ton of data everywhere they go, so they're going to be good mostly everywhere they go. And he'll just be able to focus on driving. And I think that'll be a huge help for him, and that structure will be a huge help for him. And if we were drafting a fantasy NASCAR team, he would be, like your Eagles, he would be that Saquon Barkley that everyone's like, he's had success and he's been good, but he didn't get re-signed, and the Philly picked him up, and is he going to be good? We think he's going to be good, but we don't really know. And I think he's going to be one of those guys that comes out, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets 2 or 3 wins and goes far in the playoffs. I mean, he's the real deal. He's got a lot to show.
I've got to piggyback on that for just a second because I've noticed something with Chase ever since the 2024 season ended. And this, I've seen it on social media and how he's interacted with JGR ever since he got there. But it seems like a weight is lifted off of Chase right now. And he's just kind of enjoying himself, and he's actually able to enjoy the racing aspect rather than worrying about what's going on behind the scenes when you don't have a structured facility like you're explaining what was going on with his old team last year. I think it's going to be a phenomenal season for Chase. I think alongside racing with one of his really good friends who actually leaked his jump to JGR last year, and Christopher Bell, I think that pairing of those 2 boys and like you said, top equipment, people need to take notice, and they need to take notice in a hurry.
Yep.
I agree. Now another guy coming from SHR, leaving that to a new team this year, staying in a Ford, going to Wood Brothers Racing is Josh Berry. Josh is somebody I feel like can maybe turn some heads this year. I know they're going to have the support with their Penske alliance. And I just feel like Josh is the right fit for that team. You've seen guys like Ryan Blaney when he was getting his start in Cup, really cut his teeth there, got a win with the Wood Brothers. Wouldn't surprise me to see a Josh Berry go to victory lane this year. Another Ford team, and just a seat change here. He drove for this team last year, but moving to the 34, Todd Gilliland now becomes the front running driver of Front Row Motorsports, so to speak. Although Noah Gregson and the next guy I'm going to speak of, Zane Smith, might have something to say about that. Zane Smith on the move to Front Row Motorsports as well. We all know he won a truck championship as part of their team. A guy who can get it done in this sport. Interested to see what he does here, where he kind of seemed like the odd man out last year at Spire Motorsports. I think that he'll have a better opportunity here. So I'm happy for Zane, and that he got this opportunity to run Cup again. I left out a number, and we're going to skip that one for a second, between 34 and 38. We'll get back to that in just a moment. I want to move on to the 41 team, Haas Factory team, Cole Custer, another guy you're familiar with. And that's because you won a championship with him in the Xfinity Series 2 years ago. And you were there again last year with the shot and finished runner-up in points there. So congratulations on that. Cole Custer deserving of this move up, and I'm curious to see how things go with the Haas Factory team this year on the Cup side of things. I have confidence in their Xfinity program because it had been so good, and because the drivers taking over there are seasoned veterans. But a little bit of a transition and a move up in a different car for Cole Custer. I hope that it proves to be a successful move right out of the gate for him. I know he has all the talent to make it that way. What are your thoughts, Dakota?
Well, thanks for reminding me that we finished second in
Sorry.
Phoenix championship. I appreciate that. It's still a
I,
little wound I got,
I,
but
I understand, and I have to interrupt, and I only say that because you guys are so damn consistent, and second to the story of what the 17 put together last year at Phoenix is just, and for you guys to have a chance to run it back and just come up just that
yeah,
short, I can understand it's a salt in the wound, but you know what? It's nothing to hang your hat on because I saw the fight in you guys last year to get back there and to be there and have that shot at it. It's still something to be proud of, my man.
it was still a good season.
Yeah.
It's still a good season, and I guess you got to be happy with the result after winning a couple races. Most people don't even make it to victory lane, so just to be there
Right.
was
You know
was
what?
awesome. But Cole, yeah, I mean, their Xfinity program is going to be awesome. They've got so many guys that stayed, like Matt Kempf and others. They're going to be great. For Cole, I'm really hoping that them putting all their eggs in one basket will kind of help him. I think one of the big issues last year was everything was just spread thin.
Right.
And then also, there's all the news and all that of everything shutting down, and that just makes everyone's mind go somewhere else and not focus on what they need to do. So hopefully, with everything kind of being cleared and then bringing new people in and new sponsors and things, and they can just kind of put all their eggs in one basket, and I think that'll be good for Cole.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I really want to see what this round 2 and Cup goes for him. And he's a winner, by the way, in the Cup Series. I mean, he's gotten it done, and I think him being back there, we're going to see positive things from him. Um, another Ford team. Seems like Ford has so many new faces this year. We know again, Haley got traded. Corey LaJoy is out of the 51 car. Cody Ware will be piloting that full time this year. Um, Another Ford team yet again in the 60. Ryan Preece will be taking over a third charter, which is a leased charter for RFK Racing this year. I know it's something that they're looking to make a full-time thing, but as of right now, that's a leased deal, and Ryan Preece will be piloting that car. Team that we spoke of a little earlier, Spire Motorsports in the 71, is getting a former Ford driver, Michael McDowell, coming over from Front Row Motorsports. And I think, again, this is a great get for Spire Motorsports. Michael McDowell also brought his crew chief with him from Front Row. So Travis Peterson moving over. And I just think that consistency and having the familiarity with the guy on top of the pit box and the guy behind the wheel is already a big advantage when moving teams. And then getting to compare notes with a guy like Rodney, who we spoke of earlier, just going to be huge for them. A big one that I want to speak of, and then we'll get to that last one I held off on. The 88 is coming back this year in the Cup Series. We're going to see the 88. It's on a SHR charter. This is the last SHR charter that got relocated, went to Trackhouse Motorsports. And for the first time in full-time Cup Series will be Shane Van Gisbergen. And that's just an electric name. Dakota, I know it's somebody, being in the Xfinity Series garage. You've seen him. Anytime you went to a road course, you knew that he was priority number one of somebody you had to beat. Um, and I just so excited to see Shane's opportunity this year in the Trackhouse Racing car, and it's also a return. I know WeatherTech is set to be a primary sponsor for him, but he brought in a huge name with him coming into the Cup Series this year, and Red Bull coming back to the sport is such a great thing for the sport to have a big brand and sponsor like that coming back. It's just going to be exciting. Your guys' thoughts on Shane getting a pilot full time in the Cup Series?
Uh, I mean, I love Shane. I think he's awesome. I mean, he's the kind of personality we need in the sport, and he's brought a lot to the sport already. I think our Monster Energy cars are going to whoop their ass every week. But other than that, I love him. I think he's awesome. I think he's a cool guy. I think everyone loves him. I don't think there's anybody that hates that dude. Like he's just a racer, man. Like he's there to have fun and drive race cars fast, and he's fun to watch.
You know what I love about Shane, and this is from a little bit of a bias standpoint because I am a fan of him, but boy, he didn't even try and ruffle feathers, and boy, did he have Austin Hill chasing his tail last year, and it was beautiful. We've never seen an entire road course victory lap until Shane did that.
Yeah, well, I mean, that tells you something about Austin. So
yeah, you're not wrong. Austin is an extremely talented driver, obviously very established and very, very capable of winning at the highest level. But man, Shane got under his skin and he wasn't even trying to.
He's just a chicken.
You said it, not me.
We had plenty of run-ins with him on the double zero, and
right.
he wants to do a lot when he's buckled into a race car, but once he gets out, between the legs.
Hey,
it's a personality the sport needs, though. As if you're a fan looking on the outside looking in, that's the type of stuff people tune in for. And I think it's great to see it. I know he's going to be running some part-time races in Cup this year, in a third entry for RCR, and again, he has the talent, so we'll see what he does with it. And speaking of some part-time entries, and before I get into that other full-time one moving up, a guy you're familiar with, I keep dingling on to that because we're going to talk about it. I want to talk about some of these part-time ones because I'm just going to throw this out there. 45 cars are entered into the Daytona 500 this year. It is the most since 2015, which were 49 back then, but still, that 2015, we're 10 years later. And to see that type of growth for the sport and our Super Bowl, the Daytona 500, it is amazing. Only 40 of those drivers will make the race unless there, and I'll get back to that in a second because there is an unless. But in the 01, I'll just move through these quickly. We mentioned it a little earlier. Corey LaJoie is going to run a part-time with Rick Ware Racing in the 01. Making their debut in the NASCAR Cup Series as a team, Junior Motorsports going to field the 40 car for the Xfinity champion of last year, Justin Allgaier. Going to be quite interesting to see how Junior Motorsports does. Again, they're an open team, so they got to race their way in. It'd be fun to see if Dale Jr. having an entry in the Daytona 500 as an owner. I think that's going to be really, really neat. So I'm personally pulling for it. Hopefully they're one of the 40.
It definitely hurt having a Hendrick engine in that car either. If I remember correctly, that 40 car is going to have a Hendrick motor in it.
Correct. Yeah, it definitely does not hurt there. The 44 team is back for another Daytona 500 attempt. That's a NY Racing team with JJ Yaley. Another one is an entry level, got to race their way in. That's coming from a Cup Series champion and Martin Truex Jr. With Tricon Garage. Tricon Garage is really running an extension of a Joe Gibbs racing program. I feel we're going to call it what it is. By NASCAR bylaws, they can't run a fifth team. So working with Toyota and Tricon, a known truck series team, making their debut into the NASCAR Cup Series, getting Martin Truex a chance to run for another Daytona 500 championship. I think that's going to be fun to see. Beard Racing is back for an attempt at the Daytona 500 with Anthony Alfredo. Garage 66, which was MBM, which Carl Long owns. The 66 car, Chandler Smith. BJ McLeod is a guy you see run at all the plate tracks. He'll make an attempt. Another former Cup champion, old 7-time Jimmy Johnson, Legacy Motorsports. This is one of the now 2 races that I know he's slated to run, the Daytona 500. Of course, he's got to race his way in, something he had to do last year. They didn't have the speed. They had to race his way in. And I do believe he's also slated to run the Coke 600. So, going after the big ones. And then here's the and if. I said there would be 40 drivers, and if, because Trackhouse Racing is fielding an entry that is an open car in the 91, that Project 91 that they run with an Indy 500 champion and Helio Castro Neves. Helio was granted a provisional that he is eligible for a spot if he does not secure one on racing his way in or on speed. So there is the potential for 41 cars in the Daytona 500. I really just don't understand the whole complexity of this provisional. We're just going to let it be what it is that they created for him with, him coming in. It is what it is. I think it's great for the sport to see Helio Castro Neves so I'm not complaining. We get a name like that in a NASCAR Daytona 500, and a guy who is just a proven winner in Indy cars. I'm here for it. So, you know, not
Another
going to complain.
He's another lightning rod. All he's going to do is draw attention to
Absolutely.
the race, and
Yeah.
that is positive.
Yep.
Yep. And so maybe we just call it what it is, lightning rod provisional. Then that we'll don it. A Don lightning rod provisional goes to Helio Castro Neves. There we go. But yeah, so those are the 9 teams that are open teams. They have to race their way into this race, and we'll talk about that. But I do want to talk about one of those new final full-time changes in the Cup Series, and then speak a little bit more because it's something you're familiar with, a guy you're familiar with too. He was a driver at Stewart-Haas Racing in the Xfinity program. He has now moved over and is going to be a full-time Cup driver this year in the 35 car, which is a charter from Stewart-Haas Racing. Is Riley Herbst. Now Riley is, hey, he helped end the season on a high note for Stewart-Haas Racing. They win Phoenix. Unfortunately, he wasn't a part of that championship but they went out, they won that race. Riley has got 3 wins last year, and so he knows how to get it done. And a guy that I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were supposed to be pitting. So I want you to explain a little bit of that story and how your offseason progressed, because when you came over from Stewart-Haas Racing yourself to 2311 Racing, initially you thought maybe you were supposed to be on this team, and then some things might have changed. So why don't you shine a little light on that for us, Dakota, and then we'll talk about where you're going.
Yeah. So first of all, I was excited to be on that car. Riley
Right.
showed a lot of discipline last year that helped him um, have success. And so, and part of that had to do with the crew chief change, bringing Davin over. And so he brought Davin with him to 2311, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, that was kind of an exciting move. And Davin brought engineers and people with him on that deal. And yeah, I was supposed to be on that car whenever I came over. That's the one they told me I was going to be on. I was excited. I was like, oh sweet, some familiar faces and some relationships. That's one of the big things is having relationships on the team. It creates a
Right.
good atmosphere, atmosphere to have success in. And that's a huge part of having success is just those relationships you can have to count on each other throughout the long seasons that we have. So basically, yeah, when we left Phoenix, they were like, yeah, you're going to be on the 35 car, and we'll start practice. We'll do a little practice in November, December for a little bit, and y'all have basically 3 weeks off in December, and we'll come back January and get ready to go racing. And I was like, all right, cool. So we showed up in January and started practicing and started working on the 35 pit box and working with the team and getting to know some of the new guys and just kind of getting settled in, right? Like going to a new team. You always, want to kind of meet everybody and figure things out. So I was just kind of happy to be there, honestly. It's a big jump going from Stuart Haas to 2311. 2311 was in the chase last year. They won races. They've had a ton of success. They got some of the best sponsors. Not some of. They have the best sponsors in the sport. Best owners in the sport, right? Like, who doesn't want to work for Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, right? So, like, I'm just kind of happy to be there. And I'm like, you guys really want me changing tires, So we start practicing, and they start kind of moving guys around, right? Like just letting other guys. Plus, a lot of guys are still on vacation in January, and especially before the kids go to school. And then, some guys get sick, some guys, take days off, whatever, however they're feeling. And so they kind of mix match some people, and we didn't really think anything of it. But the big thing with 2311 is, and it's on everything, is their move forward. I mean, they're all about moving forward together, right?
Mhm.
So in everything they do, it's the only place I've ever been to where it's like literally like everybody wants the other person to win more than themselves, which is like a wild concept in major league sports to think of, right?
And it's contagious too.
Yeah, so it's something that I kind of had to wrap my head around, but they preach it a lot, and not only do they preach it a lot, but the guys in the shop and the guys making the decisions and the pit crew and the engineer and everybody, but like really believe it. Like they really, it's genuine, right? It's not something, you got a lot of race teams and sports teams that say whatever, but they really, really believe it. I mean, every single person there believes it to their core, like really wants the other person to be successful, and they all help each other out in a big way. So like usually when you go to a race team and you're in the pit department, the only way you move to another car or move up or down is you either outperform somebody, or God forbid somebody gets hurt, or you're not performing well, or you get hurt. And that's just how the ladder usually goes. Well, with 2311, basically they're just like, look, we hired you guys because y'all are the best. Like, it's plain and simple. If you guys weren't really, really good at your job, you wouldn't be pitting any three of our cars.
Right.
And they care more about chemistry. So they're big on, we want all of our pit crews to all be good, right? Like we want them
Right.
all to be good, but we want them to all mesh really, really well. So we want to put the best combination of guys together. And gaining 5 new guys for a brand new team gave them more combinations, right? And so as January went on, they started swapping some guys around for a week or two here and there. And they just, I don't think it was the normal thing where they thought that I was any better than the other guy. Like I said, we're all top tier tire changers, jackmen, carriers, fuelers. I mean, we're all a part of a championship contending team for a reason, right? Because we're all championship caliber tire changers and pit crew guys, right? And so it was just more of a, they felt like the team that they were putting together for the 45, that me and some other guys would just mesh better with that team, and the other guys that were on the 45 would mesh better with the other team, and they kind of move some people around, and they're just happy with kind of the teams they created, which was kind of a curveball into kind of what I was expecting, right?
Mhm.
And what I was kind of, the path I was going down with building relationships with the 35 guys and getting my mind mentally prepared for the season, and so it kind of was like, oh, well, now I got to make this quick left turn and go in this direction. But it's a huge blessing, right? Like that 45 car, obviously won some races, went to the final four. So that's a huge, it's a huge deal to be on that car. Um, it's humbling to be picked to be on that car, right? It just kind of lights a little bit more of a fire in my belly to do more and work harder to be, the best I can be for the season.
Well, congratulations, because that is a huge, huge opportunity to not only come over to a new team, but then to be thrusted onto a team that was in that championship for last year. And, exciting year for Tyler Reddick last year. Lights out, by far, career year for him.
Yeah.
And, it's exciting to see. And I'm sure the expectations have got to be high, not only for him, but for the entire 2311 umbrella,
Oh,
going into 2025. So excited for that. So now we're heading down to Daytona, where that 45 team won a dual race last year. And exactly coming right off the gate. And you could be contending for wins. He is a good plate racer. As we know, he won the duel, won at Talladega, and plate racing a lot of it is, there's a lot of talent that goes into it. Obviously, anybody who could white knuckle it at those speeds for that many laps, 4 inches or less off of the bumper of the car in front of you, that's talent. But at the same time, being in the right place at the right time to make to capitalize on opportunities on those tracks, he seems to always have a knack for that. So exciting. And we talk about the duels. We go down there. So we're heading to Daytona. Welcome to Daytona, everybody, right? So Wednesday night is qualifying for the front row. The front row gets locked in, as we know, through Daytona tradition, through fastest speed. Front twos times, they're locked. They're locked into the show Wednesday night. And so if you come down, you're fast. You're on the front row. You're breathing easy, because Thursday when you're in the duels, you don't have to worry as much, right? So I don't know if you've ever been in that position as a pit crew member, Dakota, to know you're locked into the 500. No, shaking said
Nope.
no. So
believe-
that stress is there, going into the duels. So maybe you'll have that opportunity. Maybe you guys will unload fast, and all the best to you guys down there. Wednesday night, it makes your life easier Thursday. But then we go into the duels Thursday night, which is just exciting racing because it means something, right? It's for a spot in the Daytona 500, and everybody wants it. We know there's, as I said earlier, more spots, less spots available than there are cars on the track. So 45 cars entered, potential for 41, but most likely 40 make that race. And then, a bunch of practice. There's going to be more practice for this race, I feel like, than any race this season. Although practice is back, we know, which is kind of cool. But you're going to have a practice session Friday, a practice session Saturday. So I guess that's the quote unquote happy hour for those final tweaks. And if I'm a betting man, which I sometimes am, I bet you half the cars don't even take the track that Saturday. They know what they got by Friday. They don't want to tear it up for Sunday. So and then the Daytona 500. So we're going to Daytona, Dakota. Maybe you could shine a little light on us about your Daytona hot spots. Is there anything, you get down there? I don't know when are you heading down? When are you and the team heading down? Even?
So I'll go down Thursday. Everyone will fly down Thursday and then fly back after the duels on Thursday night, and then they'll fly
okay.
on Sunday morning. Yeah, so they can spend the weekend with their family before they have to go to the 500.
Okay.
But I'm staying down there. When I fly down Thursday, I'll stay down there. Yeah, with my wife. So my wife and my little girl and my mother-in-law drove down today. They got a house in New Smyrna on the beach, so they'll be down there, and I'm gonna meet them down there after the race on Thursday. They're staying there the whole week with some friends and family, so I'll hang out with them and then show back up to the track. I might go Saturday and cheer Pops on, but most likely just Sunday.
Yeah. Is there any place, obviously besides this beach house, but when you go down to Daytona, is there is there a restaurant you like to head to? Is there some hot spots for Dakota?
So I like the old Oyster Pub. I don't know.
Okay, this is the second time I've heard it.
Yeah, a couple people go down to I like the Oyster Pub just because kind of nostalgic. Their food's not bad. Got cold beer, so
yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, as a guy, so my dad's side of the family, ton of family members in the Daytona Beach, Port Orange area growing up, so I'm familiar with it, and and I would actually say, so I'm a seafood guy too, but my favorite place was always in Titusville called Dixie Crossroads, and it's a little bit of a drive from Daytona, but that's a really cool place, and just always liked it. They had these outside really cool fish ponds that you could see and with some huge fish. And like as a kid, when I was going down there, it was always a really cool place. So like, that was my seafood spot down there. But the Oyster Pub is pretty neat. And like you said, the beer, if the beer's cold, it's good.
It's just nostalgic, man. Like everyone goes there every year, and it's just kind of the place you go.
Right. Now, I want to ask this question, just unfortunately, I have to circle to this because it's a reality. We talk about Florida and we talk about Daytona, and it's always just a reality is the weather watch, right? So, um, Thursday night, unfortunately, I'm just gonna say it because this could change 18 times until we get to Thursday. By the way, but we are in the same week, so who knows? But showers are in the forecast. At night, 62 degrees. So, I mean, air temperature is going to be nice. It may be a little chilly, but from where I'm at, I'd be in shorts right now at 62 compared to where I'm at right now in the 20s. But um, Sunday, high 79, which is really nice. But when you get that temperature in Florida this time of the year going into spring, unfortunately, you see isolated thunderstorms in the forecast. A lower percentage than higher, but I do want to mention that the night looks good. So we know Daytona has lights, and just seemingly always seems to find a way to this race lately just delays and ends at nighttime anyway. So
Yep.
when that happens and you guys are facing all these weather delays and stuff at tracks, what do you do? What do you like to do at weather delays?
Oh man. Anytime we go to Daytona, I just assume it's gonna rain. Like I don't even try
No
to
sugarcoating it, man. It is what it is.
it's gonna rain, right? It's gonna
Yeah,
rain. It might not delay the race, but it's gonna rain at some point, right? Like
right.
at some point you're gonna get wet. No, man, we try to have fun and just be lighthearted and joke around with each other and kind of keep spirits up. But we eat a lot of snacks, stay hydrated, stay kind of loose, rolling out and stuff. Um, but a lot of the time we're just cutting up with each other and BSing and just hanging out, waiting for it to stop raining so we can dry the pit box and get everything kind of back ready. Because it's gonna every time we have a rain delay, no matter what, it's gonna be a hustle to get back ready to go racing, right? Like getting the box
Mhm.
dry and getting the guns ready and tires ready and yeah, it's gonna be a hustle. So you're just trying to stay in good spirits because you're like, this is about to suck.
Yeah, it's a quick when you get that call from NASCAR, everybody drivers to their cars by this time, you're on a scramble mode. So
Yep.
yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Man, I'm excited and I'm really excited for, the Daytona 500 coming up and just to get back to racing and all the fun things and coming up this year, not only for, just NASCAR in general, but all these teams faces, like just seeing how it plays out. I mean, because every year is just it always throws wrinkles in it somehow, some way. There's a driver that shows up that you know overperforms maybe out of the gate and then kind of fizzles off or whatever may be the case. And and I could speak to one because William Byron won this race last year, came out of the gate hot and then just cooled off and then just kind of fizzled through the postseason even and just obviously we saw how their season the 2014 ended. I'm sure they're looking to correct that, but you seen it. You've seen it in the sport before. Even I'll name another one. Last year, a guy who started off red hot as well didn't win the 500, but he's done it a couple times. Denny Hamlin, right out of the gate, and then he won a race and just was really consistent, but then they fizzle off and he signs the checks for you. So I know you're not going to talk about Denny, but like just how that team and his season played out last year. A lot of missed opportunities, a lot of races that he probably could have, should have won, and they didn't because of strategies or whatever. But I'm sure he's looking to rebound. Another past winner in the field, Austin Cindric. I think this is a prove it year for him and that two team. He made postseason last year, kind of backed into a win by his teammate running out of gas, so he won a race. But he was there and he performed pretty well out of the gate, and then fizzled.
Yep.
Michael McDowell, he's one of those new faces we talked about in a new place. He's won this race. Austin Dillon's won it. Joey Logano, our season champion last year, he's won this race. And just it's exciting because you've also seen guys like Stenhouse Jr. Pull a rabbit out of the hat for now Hayek Racing. And just this is a racetrack where it doesn't discriminate, because if there's an accident, it doesn't matter how good your car was, you could be torn up in a split second.
Yes.
And it really is restrictor plate tracks like this are the great equalizer as far as, a crapshoot. I'm not here to predict the winner right now. I'm just saying I'm really, really stoked and excited for the season to get going. I can't thank you enough for joining us, Dakota. And, as the season comes along, hopefully maybe you could pop back in if you're not too busy and, give us a little progress report on how you and the 45 and just the whole 2311 camp are doing. But again, thank you for taking time away from your wife and family this evening. And we wish you all the best this season. And you'll be, just for the record, rear tires or front? I didn't know if that changed.
No, I'll still be on the
Still in,
rears.
still in the rear.
Yeah, still in the rear. I appreciate you guys having me on. Progress report you'll see pretty early once we're sitting in victory lane. Our progress. So
There you go.
but I'll
Give us
still come back on and we can talk about it.
give us that victory lane phone call, and we'll live cast it and give all those followers. So followers, if you're listening now, if the 45 goes victory lane, Dakota's going to do us a solid. Well, he'll take us virtually. But no, seriously, that's we appreciate everything you've done, as being friends to the show, and just always welcome back. It's really, really fun. I appreciate it, man. Looking forward to it, and have fun and best of luck down at Daytona.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, Dakota. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, bud, and best of luck to you and your team the entire season, bud.
Thanks, brother.
There you have it, guys. Another wonderful episode with some of our Five Lug Racing alumni, Dakota, hanging out with us, talking his thoughts on the new season and his move and everything that comes with it. Daytona is right around the corner, y'all. We're going to hit y'all with another couple episodes after this just to kind of give you more of an idea of the field and the schedule and weather updates also. But, man, another great interview with Dakota. Ryan, thank you as always. Just an absolute pleasure to be doing this with you. And again, congratulations to your Philadelphia Eagles for winning that Super Bowl, man. That's big time. From everybody else here at Five Lug Racing, thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Y'all have a good one.